Welcome back, cats and kittens, to the fifth and final installment in this video series. We are now at day 5 of your lower leg mobility improvement series. And we started off just foam rolling the calf muscles. We then ventured into some self-massage in the soleus. We've worked our feet, both bottom and top, with the lacrosse ball and with our hands. And we are going to finish with some static stretches. What I want to show you guys is going to be a couple of different static stretch positions, as well as some you can either use a foam roller or a lacrosse ball to work the front of the lower leg, the shin or the anterior tibialis, as the muscle right in here is called. Going to go over a couple of different techniques for you guys to throw into your workouts, or your workout recovery, I should say. Again, no more than 8 to 10 minutes total on all this stuff. So if you do them just the stretches, do them for a minute each side or for 30 seconds each side if you want to throw in some of this work. Up to you guys. Whatever you feel you need the most help with, that's where you want to prioritize. So I leave that up to your discretion. Let's start first with mobilizing the front of the shin. So what you want to look for here is, if you feel for the front of your shin bone, just to the outside of that is going to be a big blanket run of muscle right there. That's your anterior tibialis. Either way, either side, either leg, you just feel for that shin bone, and to the outside, that's where you want to be working. You don't want to roll on the bone itself. Your focus is the muscle. You can do that with a foam roller or a lacrosse ball. I go back and forth depending on what I feel I want from it that day. But basically, I'll place myself up on the roller like so, and I'll lean to the outside so I know I'm getting the muscle there. And I'm just going to roll from just below the knee down all the way to the ankle. You'll get some really good stuff out of this. These muscles often neglected by most of us. If you want to switch it up to lacrosse ball, it's a similar thing, but you may be a little more deliberate in where you go. So you may start in one position. You may wind up sitting there for a little bit and just playing around with what's there. Do I feel any real deep sensations? Are things really sharp? Is this really painful, or is this a dull and achy? Kind of getting to know the area. And then working that for about 2 minutes on each side. That's got a lot of great benefits too, guys. I cannot tell you how great you will feel once you've done that for a few times and start to feel the front of your shin starting to relax. That's going to have some wide-ranging impacts. For me, it actually has a really big benefit up into my quad and my hip, and really helps the way I squat. So going from that into the static stretches, the first one I want to show you is, and for this we're actually going to use, today I have a yoga bolster because it's what I have handy, but you can use a yoga block. I have used a really firm meditation cushion for this. Whatever you happen to have, that can take the place of this, that's comfortable to use, but also is firm enough. Like a really soft pillow is not going to cut this. The first one is going to be a stretch that you would normally do. Some people might sit like this, back on their heels with their feet flat against the ground. Well, with this tool, what you're going to do is you're going to place it behind you and raise your feet up on it. This is a stretch I have often seen used by gymnasts. I believe they call it the squatted Seiza, S-E-I-Z-A, if you want to Google that. But from here, I like to get myself set up nice and tall, feet flat, heels together, knees together, and then I will sit back as comfortably as I can. When I first started doing this exercise, my lower limbs were so tight that my heels would actually separate by just from the action of sitting back like that. So getting into that position, I had to often keep myself up higher a little bit. And then over time I was able to sit a bit lower. So it can take some time, and some progress needs to be made before you'll get to the full position. But this will really help to stretch out the front of the foot and reaches up into the shin as well. So that's a really good one. I wouldn't do more than 90 seconds or 2 minutes in that, and even modify it lower if this is rather difficult or you're new to it. So 30 seconds to a minute to start, and then you can add on to it, but never go longer than 2 minutes. It's not necessary. The second one is similar position, but from here, you're going to actually use your hands to press your knees up off the ground. So You can even use yoga blocks for this to help if you're up higher. You can press yourself up. But the trick is the higher the knees come up, the more advanced the movement or the more pressure you're going to get. So early on, you're probably only going to be right about here just to get that pressure on the front of the ankle. But over time, you should be able to raise yourself up pretty high. Again, knees together, ankles together on this, and go into it slowly and cautiously. You don't want to damage anything that you then have to spend a longer time recovering from before you can come back and keep doing this work. So cautious up front is always best. And then the last one is just toes tucked under, sitting back on the heels. This gives me, for me personally, a really great, wonderful stretch through the soles of the feet and into the toes. I love it, it's great. And it also helps compress the knees and give you some better mobility in the knee joints as well. All of these guys do that, but this one I tend to feel it particularly. And again, knees together, ankles together. If you have a little trouble keeping the ankles together, bring yourself up, and you can also use the tool to help double as something you can sit on, which allows me to pull my heels in closer together, and then over time as my mobility improves, I'll take the bolster or the pad away, and I'll be able to sit back more like that. The final stretch is a calf stretch. And what you'll do, you set up in this position, kind of so my knee, one knee is hip is going this way, the other one is off to the side, and I'm going to get into a comfortable position where I can lean with my chest directly in line with my knee. I'm going to lean over, support myself with my hands, and I'll move back so you guys can see a little bit better. I'm just going to lean into it, and keeping the heel flat on the floor, compress the front of the ankle, and then feel a really deep stretch here in through my Achilles tendon and through the calf itself. You might get a little bit of the foot and the ankle in there as well, depending on how tight you are. But then getting into this position and holding it for about 90 seconds up to 2 minutes. And then I would switch and I would do the other side. So just remember that, guys. On the static stretches, start off slow, maybe do 30 seconds each side, and then over time you can build up to 2 minutes, but never more than that. And then on the foam rolling or the cross balling of the front of the shin, you want to probably go 2 minutes to start with. Less if you need it, but you be the judge. All right, guys, that's been it for our 5-day mobility series on how to fix your ankles, feet, and calves. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me personally. I would love to respond and help you if I can. And I will see you guys next time.